Welcome to the module number 7, lesson number 1, which is Introduction and Architecture of Selenium Remote Control. In this lesson, we are going to learn the concepts about Introduction and Architecture of Selenium Remote Control, running the Selenium server, executing Selenium RC from Java IDE and command prompt, executing Selenium RC only from the Java IDE without the command prompt. Let us first go through the concept of Introduction and Architecture of Selenium Remote Control. Selenium RC, or the remote control, was the main Selenium project that sustained for a long time before Selenium WebDriver, the 2.0, came into existence. Now Selenium RC is deprecated, which means officially declared as dead, or officially no work is being going on the project, as WebDriver offers more powerful features. However, users can develop scripts using Selenium RC. It allows us to write automated web application UI tests with the help of full power of programming languages such as Java, C#, Perl, Python and PHP, to create more complex tests such as reading and writing files, querying a database and emailing test results and so on, none of which is possible using the Selenium IDE. Let us look at the components of Selenium Remote Control. There is a component called the Selenium Server that launches and kills the browsers, which interprets and runs the Selenium commands or the JavaScript commands passed from the test program and acts as an HTTP proxy. It also intercepts and verifies HTTP messages passed between the browser and the application under the test. There is another component of the Selenium Remote Control which is called client libraries. These client libraries provide the interface between each programming language command that we give and the Selenium Remote Control server. If we talk about the architecture, the Selenium RC works in such a way that the client libraries can communicate with the Selenium Remote Control. The server passes, or the Selenium server that we talk about, passes the Selenium commands to the browser using the Selenium core JavaScript commands. The browser executes the Selenium commands using its JavaScript interpreter. Just take a look at the architecture diagram from where we are giving the Java, Python, Ruby, Perl, PHP or .NET commands, which are the client library commands which will be passed to the remote control server, which is the Selenium server, and the Selenium server communicates with the browsers through the Selenium core in the browser. The remote control server will be passing the JavaScript commands, whatever have been put it on through the Java, Python or any other client libraries, and those JavaScript commands will be dumped into the browsers, and in the browsers the Selenium core will make those JavaScript commands work on the browser for execution of the test case. As we have already seen the architecture, it is the Selenium server inside the Selenium remote control which launches and kills the browser. So we must start the Selenium server before we want to execute any of the Selenium remote control test cases. So let us look at how to run the Selenium server. Before starting any of our test cases, we must start the Selenium server. So we have to go to the directory where Selenium remote control server is located and run the following command line console. The remote control server is not like a server of a machine, but it is also a jar file which contains all the classes and methods that are required to run the Selenium test cases. So we can just go to the directory where the Selenium remote control jar file is downloaded through the command prompt and run the following command in the command line console. The command is java space -jar space Selenium -server -standalone the version number of the Selenium remote control server file that we have downloaded jar. Let us look at how to execute a Selenium RC test from the Java IDE, the Eclipse IDE that we use, and using the command prompt. The first step to do that is to start the Selenium remote control with the help of the command prompt. How do we do that? Just open the command prompt and use cd space and the path of the folder where the Selenium remote control server is located, and you would be on that path once you hit the enter key, and then you would launch the Selenium remote control server using the java space -jar space Selenium server standalone and the version number .jar, which will activate the Selenium RC server. Once you see that Selenium server is up and running command in the command line console, you can assume that the Selenium server is active. We can then go to our second step, which is opening the Eclipse and creating a new project. We have already seen in one of our previous lessons how to download and open an Eclipse IDE. So I'm not taking you through that step now, and we are going to go through what happens after we open the Eclipse IDE. So once we open the Eclipse IDE, we're going to create a Java project as shown in the diagram using the file menu, going to new, and then choosing a Java project option. In the next step, we enter the project name and click on the next button as shown in the screenshot. We enter the project name in the text box opposite to the project name label and then click on the next button. The following step is to verify the source, projects, libraries and output folder and then click on the finish button. That's the step number 4, which will create us a Java project containing a source folder followed by another folder which shows all the available system Java libraries. In step number 5, we are going to right click on the project container, which will open as a menu, and we will choose the option build path from it. This will open another submenu in which we have an option called configure build path at the end of the submenu. So we will choose the configure build path option. We will then see a new window that is opened with the properties for the project that we created. We will then see a new window that is opened with the properties for the project that we created. We have to navigate to the libraries tab in the window and select add external jars button. It will then open a small window for us to browse and navigate to the place where we have downloaded our Selenium server jar file. So just choose the jar file and it will appear as shown in the diagram. Click on the OK button at this point. The next step is the step number 7, in which we see whether whatever we have done in the step number 6 can be verified by just looking at the project, whether a new folder is added at the end which shows the reference libraries as part of it. We should see the Selenium server standalone file that we have added as part of the configuration showing under the reference libraries. Once we see the Selenium server standalone file under the reference libraries, we are sure that the configuration has gone well. The next step, the step number 8, is create a new class file by performing a right click on the source folder and selecting new class. However, before this step of creating the class, it would be preferable that we have a package created under the source folder of the project in which we create the class. We can create the package by simply right clicking on the source folder and choosing package, and in the following window we can give the name of the package and click finish. Now let us get back to the step number 8, where we just right clicked on the project or on the package and chose new and class. We then get a window where we can give the name for the class that we want to create, RC demo, as shown below. You can choose the checkboxes, public static void main from the method stubs that you want to create and click on the finish button. The next step would be the step number 10, where we can verify the class name that we have created is showing under the project directly or under the package that we have created under the project as shown in the diagram. In the step number 11, which is a step where we do the coding, we can see an example of how to write a Selenium RC script, and there are a lot of comments that are embedded in the script. There are a lot of comments that are embedded in the script. The script starts like this with the public class RC demo or the class name whatever you have given, which contains the public static void main, and we have the instantiation step for the Selenium for executing Selenium commands on the 4444 port number with the newtools.demoaut.com as the URL that we want to open, and with the Firefox browser. The command goes like this: Selenium is equal to new default Selenium of localhost 4444 *Firefox and http://newtools.demoaut.com, which is the URL of the application. When you would have typed this command in Eclipse IDE, it would show an error pointing out that the class Selenium is not recognized. So move the cursor onto the Selenium class name. It would show a quick fix using which we can import the Selenium class from the com.thoughtworks.selenium package, and it will show in the beginning of the file showing the import statement as import com.thoughtworks.selenium.selenium. You would have to do a similar thing for the class default Selenium, and you would get the quick fix package name shown com.thoughtworks.selenium.default Selenium, which you have to pick up, which will show us a new line on the top of the file which shows import com.thoughtworks.selenium.default Selenium. Let us revisit the line Selenium is equal to new default Selenium, where we are giving the parameters. The Selenium is a class for which we are instantiating using default Selenium class, and the default Selenium class takes 4 parameters: the IP address of the system where you want to run the test, or the local host if it is our system, then the port number on which your test has to be run. By default it is 4444 for Selenium RC, the browser in which you want to run the test. In our case it is *Firefox, which means for Firefox. If you want to run it on Chrome, it would be *Chrome. Then the URL of the application on which you want to run the test. So in our case it is the http://newtools.demoaut.com. Once we instantiate the Selenium, we have to start the Selenium RC using selenium.start. This start method is the one which will open the browser that you have mentioned for us. We can then open the URL that we have mentioned in the instantiation using selenium.open and with a slash. Remember the Selenium IDE recording, we have a base URL which points out to the URL that we are opening, and there is a slash in the first command open pointing out that we are opening that URL. So it's the same pattern that we follow in Selenium remote control, execution and scripting. So when we do the selenium.open slash, it will open the base URL or the newtools.demoaut.com URL for us in the browser that just opened. To maximize the browser, which by default will not be maximized, we can use the command selenium.windowMaximize. The method window maximize will maximize the browser to the full screen. We can then click on the register link in the newtools.demoaut.com using the selenium.click command, and then giving the locator for that link using link equals to register. This link equals to register we have inspected from the web page and we have given it. Very soon we are going to look at how do we locate the elements. Once we click on the link, to check that we are going to the next page, we are giving the command to wait for the page to load using the selenium.wait for page to load 10,000. This 10,000 are the milliseconds, so it will be 10 seconds. Once we get the next page, we are going to type test string into the text box using the command selenium.type name equals to first name and test string into the first name text box. We are then again waiting for 10 seconds and we want to stop the Selenium using selenium.stop. This will close all the browsers that we have opened. We are then printing all actions on the application using Selenium RC successful, and we are closing the program. So once we execute this program, it will open us the Firefox browser, in which it will open the newtools.demoaet.com website. It will click on the register link and it will type the test string into the first name text box in the window that opened. The next and the final topic in this lesson is executing the Selenium RC script only from the Eclipse IDE without using the command prompt at all. By repeating the same process and modifying the program that we have just seen, by adding the Selenium server instance in the program itself, we can do the execution of Selenium RC script from the Eclipse IDE. In this process, we don't need the Selenium server starting from the command prompt, as we will be instantiating it from the Eclipse IDE instead of starting it from the command prompt. The program goes like this: public class RC demo, or the demo class, the class name whatever you've given, in which we have the instantiation of private static Selenium, which is for the Selenium RC API instantiation. Then we are creating the instance for the Selenium RC server using private static Selenium server SS. Then I have the public static void main, in which I am giving the instantiation for my Selenium server SS equal to new Selenium server. Then I am starting the Selenium server ss.start. This thing will start the Selenium server instead of from the command prompt. Now we are instantiating the Selenium using Selenium is equal to new default Selenium, and we are giving the localhost 4444 port number, the browser, Firefox, and the newtools.demoaet.com website. And then I am starting the Selenium RC API using selenium.start. This will start the Selenium for us. And we are going with the remaining of the program like the previous one, using selenium.open/ to open the newtools.demoaet.com website. Then we have the selenium.window maximize to maximize the window. We are clicking on the register link using selenium.click link equals register. We are waiting for 10 seconds for the clicking to take effect and go to the next page using the selenium.wait for page to load 10,000. Then we are typing test string into the first name text box using selenium.type name equals to first name comma test string, and then we are waiting for 10 more seconds using thread.sleep 10,000, and finally we are stopping the Selenium API. Remember that we always have to start the Selenium server first, then the Selenium API, then we have to close the Selenium first, then we have to stop the Selenium server. So selenium.stop comes first, then we are printing all actions on the application using Selenium RC successful, then we are stopping the Selenium server using ss.stop. This ss.stop will close the Selenium server totally. Please note that Selenium server won't be working on the latest browsers. If you take the Firefox browser, Selenium server script can be executed only up to and below Firefox version 16. So please make a note that you use old browsers which are compatible with Selenium server before executing any Selenium server scripts.